What's up, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny gameplay video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some of my tips and advice for coming out on top in Rumble matches. Rumble is a unique playlist for many reasons. A lot of people really struggle with the ability to go on kill streaks in Rumble because it seems like when they get a kill, then someone is right there to mop them up before they can recover from the engagement. Also, many players have a hard time keeping their composure and landing all of their shots when they're in an engagement with multiple opponents and you're fighting each other for kills. The very first tip that I would give is one of the most fundamental tips in playing Rumble. And this goes back to my experience playing ranked lone wolves in Halo. You need to not camp because you won't see enough people and you won't win, but you need to lock down a decent section of the map. Maybe pick like 25% of the map to be your stomping grounds, and you can always rotate that 25% if you need to, but I like to pick maybe 25% of the map, locate the choke points and good lines of sight where you can line up shots, or if you're shotgunning, then you can find good cover that breaks line of sight so that you can safely close gaps or ambush players with like a quick vertical movement to throw them off and then rain down buckshot on top of their noggins. So Cauldron here serves as a good example. My goal here was to lock down the whole outside section of the map. And I won this match without ever really going indoors, except for maybe a couple of times. But for the most part, I spent the whole game out on this half of the map, this outer ring. And one of the things that you want to be mindful of is that in Rumble, obviously, people are going to flank you. There's, it's just you against the world. So one of the things that you need to do is limit the amount of map that you put your back to. You don't really want to put your back to any open map at all. What you want to do is have your back near walls, towards the edges of the map, so that people can't come up behind you. Now, obviously, you're going to have to push in at some points to engage enemies, but you want to really limit the number of flanking routes that are available to your opponents. And then when you're in these situations where you do have sort of your flanks exposed, you don't want to stay there long. You want to move around, make sure that you're reading the map or the radar. You essentially want to have your eyes glued on that radar. Whenever you have a weapon that has third eye, that's great. And here you see I'm getting pushed from two of my flanks, so I actually just cut and run. I break to the middle of the map and then loop back through the outside, take a guy out on my way. But now I'm back in position. I didn't have to take a death. I actually got a kill along the way, and I'm fully recovered, and I'm back to engaging enemies as I see fit. So you definitely need to know when it's best just to run away. Another thing you want to be mindful of when you're locking down a section of the map, make sure that you keep an eye on the clock. You want to know when that heavy is going to spawn, and when it's getting close, usually when I have about a minute until heavy is going to spawn, that's when I really move towards it and start locking down that section of the map. So people start to throw themselves towards heavy when it gets close to being up, because obviously they can see it on their HUD. And so here I'm just managing multiple choke points, multiple hallways, trying to lock it down. This guy pushes in, and now I'm right beside another opponent. I decide my best bet here. I'm just going to go for the quick scope, get the headshot, turn around. And as soon as you get a kill, you got to be looking for your next target. You really don't have time to think about, just stop, reload my weapons. So you want to be reloading your weapons and cycling through them as you go. Anytime you have a weapon that has buffs to reload speed, stuff like Outlaw, those kinds of skills, those are always nice to have, especially in the Rumble playlist when you don't get a lot of lulls in action. So I got heavy control. I was able to get a couple of kills with my 310 Thunderlord, drop a super to wrap up the game for the win. So sometimes in Rumble, people are going to be crouching and they're gonna be right on top of you, and you're like, oh crap. So you have to be able to keep your composure and decide what the best option is in those moments. I didn't see this guy at all. He pulls out a shotgun, almost kills me. I did just enough damage with that grenade that I knew all I needed was a body shot, and hopefully that would be enough to kill him. So I went for the Hail Mary, and it paid off. Here on Dungeons, I was able to get a Sum of All Tiers medal. Basically what that is when you get enough kills to win the game, but all the kills of your opponents added up together is still fewer than the number of kills that you had. So basically you did better than everyone else in the lobby. So that doesn't happen too often in Rumble, but when you really go on kill streaks, you're avoiding taking deaths, so you don't have to take respawn times, and you're really locking down a highly contested portion of the map. Essentially on Dungeons, I locked down this entire third of the map, and going back and forth between spawn locations, picking guys off, I'm using the combination of the Tunela and the Strongbow D, this combo that I talked about yesterday in my Arms Day recommendations. I really love this combo with my Warlock, absolutely. And I threw on the Claws of Ahamkara so I would get additional melees. And so one of the things you have to be mindful of is your skill tree. Because Rumble plays so differently than any other game type that if you just go in here and start playing the way you normally play, you're probably not going to be nearly as successful as you could be. Take a good hard look at your skill tree for your subclass and make changes before you go into Rumble. You're probably going to have to swap some things in and out. Usually I run with Transcendence on my Warlock because when I'm playing team-based games, I like to be able to have the ability to have a really friggin' long super so that I can chew through an entire team of enemies. I've had up to 8 kills using Transcendence with one Storm Trance, but obviously in Rumble, guys are much more spaced out, so that's not really the best call. And on top of that, you don't want to use any skill that sacrifices your melee and grenade abilities, and that's what Transcendence does. So I definitely don't want to use that, because in Rumble, your grenade and melee abilities are kind of your bread and butter. You're going to be using them as frequently as possible. I use my super here to push in on the heavy, and then I start heading back to my stomping grounds, the portion of the map that I wanted to lock down, and it basically made a few of these guys rage quit, so that I was able to get the I was getting the Sum of All Tears as it was. I think the best guy only had 5 kills before they quit out. So, and then I just wrapped up a couple more kills and got the Sum of All Tears for the win. But anyways, take a good hard look at your skill tree. There are certain things that don't play well with Rumble. Like I took off a couple of skills on my Warlock that applied mainly to being a support role. Things that give you and your allies, buffed agility and recovery. Those sorts of things. Took them off. They didn't play well with Rumble, so it didn't make any sense to use them. Instead, I invested in these skills that really buff your melee and grenade abilities. So charges them faster, gives you more melees, that sort of thing. And things like there's a skill in the Warlock skill tree that makes it so that when you get a melee kill with your melee ability, it recharges your super energy faster. So that coupled with the Claws of Ahamkara, coupled with the shotgun I was using, the Strongbow D that has close and or personal, which gives you additional melee damage after you land a shot with the Strongbow. Those things just all play together well. So you really have to think about that synergy between the skills in your skill tree, the skills on your weapons, how they play well with each other, and how they play well with the game style that Rumble has, because it is definitely not like the other game types. Also, audio cues are really important. In this next clip here, I hear someone come through the portal, and so I quickly turn around, snap in, take a shot, and if I wasn't really paying attention to those audio cues, then I probably would have been just gunned down from behind, and that's no good. So make sure you're using your ears to listen for things like supers, to listen for things like these teleporters, these man cannons. There are things that give you tips and hints as to where people are. Blinking is easy to hear, shoulder charge is easy to hear. So use your ears, and it can help tell you where people are and what they're up to. So if I hear a blink, I know I'm not going against a Titan, obviously. And there are just different ways that you engage different opponents, so it can sort of dictate the way that you engage people. Also, using your ears, you can hear things like hunters going invisible with vanish and smoke, so you know what to look for. So using your ears is a big factor as well. Being mobile is also very important. I'm moving around quite a bit. On these smaller maps like this, generally shotgunners have the edge, but I really wanted to use my sniper. I was feeling really sniper-y. So I whipped mine out, and I was able to get some more close quarters snipes. And this is something I honestly don't recommend that you do unless you're a really seasoned sniper, because Rumble, you just have to be mobile so much that unless you're a really good sniper, you're not going to be getting a lot of sniper kills, so your special slot's going to be kind of wasted unless you really just kind of hang out in these long sightline areas. But then people will just get mad at you and push in on you really, really fast. So only use a sniper if you're super comfortable with close quarters sniping. Honestly, you're going to see a lot more shotgunners in Rumble matches than you're going to see snipers. But sometimes it's really fun to take a sniper in and poop on shotgunners. Not that I have anything against shotgunners. I enjoy using a shotgun from time to time, but really sniping is my bread and butter. So if you're really comfortable with it, then sure, make it happen. Make sure you lock down the heavy and know what sight lines that you need to look down. Thieves' Den is just it's weird. It's a weird map. So being mindful of where those hallways are is what gave me the ability to really lock down that heavy spawn with my sniper rifle. Also, don't forget to use your vertical space. I know I say it all the time, but you saw in the gameplay here, a lot of times I would jump around corners with that shotgun and able to poop on guys who you know, they got their sights set at head level. So hopefully these have been helpful tips for you. Hopefully you can go into some Rumble matches. This wasn't an exhaustive guide. I've never done any Rumble videos in the past. I didn't know how interested people were in it, so I figured I'd go ahead and drop some tips. If people are interested in more, then I can do some more advanced breakdowns as well. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and we'll catch you in the Crucible.